Reading class. Good morning, first graders.
Good morning, Mr. Trennis.
Good morning, teachers.
Good morning.
I don't think first graders have ever brought me as much comfort as they do today. This is my first time teaching a class like this, so having something familiar is useful for me this morning. I'm going to break this into 4 different categories: phonological awareness, phonics, fluency, and vocabulary. I'll be touching on all 4 of these as I teach. After we get done 15-20 minutes with our first grade class, I'll dismiss them, and then we'll go through your handouts and go a little bit deeper. We're still going to be scratching the surface, but hopefully it's enough to inspire you, look for better ways to teach, and so forth. Just an introduction, I'm Trennis Hostetler. We moved here about 4 years ago, not quite 4 years ago, for the church and for the school. I taught, this is my 4th year here, taught 3 years in Arkansas. This is my 4th year teaching first grade, I guess. I'm not sure if I agree with their introduction. I'm a master first grade teacher, but first grade is kind of my passion, reading, so I hope you learned something. All right, we're going to get started with the phonological awareness. Are we ready?
Yeah.
All right, thumbs up or thumbs down for rhyme. Actually, we're not going to thumbs up. Find the 2 that rhyme. See, he, joy.
See,
No, boy, go.
no, go.
Can, pan, coin.
Can,
Good. Feel, seal, foil.
seal,
Got it. Join, high, buy. Good. All right. Beginning sounds. Voyage. Okay. You repeat the words, then say the beginning sound. Isolate.
isolate,
Confusing.
confusing,
Argument.
argument,
Octopus.
octopus,
Okay. Blend these words. R or these sound. R, oi.
roy,
T, m, oi, o.
turmoil,
Got it. L, ow, d,
louder,
Sh, ow,
shower,
J, oi, z.
joins,
S, p, oi, o.
soil,
Good. Now we'll be looking for the middle sound, or whatever you hear in the middle. Noise,
oil,
corn,
or,
soil,
oil,
couch,
ow,
boil,
or,
taught, choice.
oil,
Very good. All right, choppers. I say the word, you repeat it, then chop it. Joint,
joint,
coins,
coins,
rejoice,
rejoice, rejoice,
very good. Mouse,
mouse, house,
flower,
flower, hour,
good. Pointer,
pointer,
try again. Very good. Voice,
voice,
very good. All right, adding sounds. I give you best,
best,
add t.
best,
Who,
who,
add a p.
who,
Noi,
noise,
add z.
noise,
Boy,
boy,
add s.
voice,
Lease,
lease,
add t.
lease,
Very good. Now we take sounds off. Peach,
peach,
without ch.
pea,
Loan,
low,
take off the n.
low,
Mask.
Mask.
Take off the K.
Mask.
They got it. Boil.
Boil.
Take off the O.
Boil.
Got it. Wheat.
Wheat.
Take off the T.
Wheat.
Very good. Nice.
Nice.
Take off the S.
Nice.
Very good. And the last one, we change sounds. Steak.
Steak.
Change K to T.
Steak.
Very good. Grip.
Grip.
Change the P to N.
Grip.
Very good. Stem.
Stem.
Change the M to P. Stem.
Step.
Take the M off, put in P.
Step.
Very good. Twine. Change the N to a S.
Twice.
Whoops.
Twice.
On the end. There we go. Coin. Change the N to a O.
Coil.
Got it. Very good. All right, flashcards. All right, what family is this? What do we call them special endings? What does a special ending do? Makes it a long sound. Does not need any help from a vowel. Go.
Old. Oast. Ein. Old. Ein. Of. I'll.
This can be used as
Suffix.
suffix.
A.
Where do we use this in a word?
Middle.
In the middle.
Two.
Two.
E.
I.
C. Ca. E. I. O. Go.
Ga.
E.
One syllable words, it will say
I.
I. Two syllables says
E.
very good.
A.
We use this on the end.
W. Oi. Ch.
When do you use this ch?
Vowel.
Which vowel?
Short.
Short vowels. Correct.
Oi. I. Z. J.
Okay. When we use the j on the ending, this goes with what?
Long.
Long vowels. Got it.
E. F. Ch.
Okay. Let me go. I believe that's enough of those. Now, for the ABCs, I want you to tell me the name, the one that comes after. So say this one and the one after.
You.
No, the one that comes after the ABCs. There you go.
O. P. I. J. Y.
Y and Z.
K.
L.
T. E. F. G. H. W. X. V. W.
Got it. VW.
H. R.
Good.
D. E. M. N. B. C. C. D. L.
What sound does this make on the end of the word?
O.
O.
A. B. Q. R. F. T. G.
G.
P. Q. S. T. N. O. R. S. J. K. Z. Zero.
Nothing.
X. Y.
Very good. Okay, let's do our sound wall. Starting over here. Say the sound and the picture.
A. Rain. A. Thing. E. Peach. E. C. E. Chief. E. Berry. E. Turkey. O. Soap. O. Crow. O. Crow. I. Sky. juicy, cage, giraffe, fudge, rose, fraction, R star, or corn, hurry, bird, jerk, earth, worm.
Very good. All right. It is time for our word list today. Julia, you may come up and mark our sounds this first half on this side. Long, short, or circles. What long sound is that? Remember from yesterday? What is it? Yes. Okay. All right, let's read those four.
Let turn to.
Okay, Cash, you can do the next set. Good catch. Yes. There's two ways you can mark that. Okay. Mark, fix this. What do those say together? Long or short? Good. All right. Now, a quick question for this word. How do we know this is sobbed, not soaked?
Because there's two consonants.
Two consonants between the two vowels makes it go short, usually. Okay, the words?
Sobbed, snatched, rolled, weaved.
Okay, Jenny, you can do the next half. Do three. There you go. That's enough. You see something you could fix?
Yeah. Top.
Just fix it the same way Cash did his. Long or short? Good. Okay, let's read those.
She speaks alive, Mary.
Okay, and Layla, you can mark the next one. Now there's one here that doesn't follow our rules. You know what it, can you find it?
Angel.
Yes. Good. What rule does this not follow?
It's supposed to be short.
If it would follow the rule, it would say angels, right? Because there's two consonants here, and it's a closed syllable, both. Okay, let's read the words.
Angels surprise tenderly.
All right. There's one mistake in here. Can you see it? Who can find it? Something needs to be what? Yes. The SE on this one is a special ending, special sound. Okay, let's read it one more time.
Wet, bent, her, to, sawed, snapped, rolled, weaved, cheese, alive, buried, angels, surprise, tenderly.
Okay, let's start finding our words with a suffix. Just say them when you find it.
Ed,
Okay, what's the word?
sob,
What's the ending sound?
D.
D. Okay. There's a suffix. Oh, let's not circle. Let's use underlines. Next. More suffixes.
snatch,
Okay, what's that ending sound?
T.
T. And more.
roll,
Roll. And the ending sound for that?
D.
Roll. D. More. more on the other side. Girls, can you find one? Suffixes. Cheeks. There's one. More?
Angels.
Yes. One more.
Surprise.
What would you take off that? We can't take that off. Something you could take off. It would still be a... Yes. The lead is a suffix. It's a new one. All right. Now, let's do some analogies. Remember, analogies might rhyme, they might be opposites, they might even be similar. Synonyms. Trace is to place as peaks is to cheeks. Correct? Let's prove these up here. Kicked is to licked as matched is to
Snatch.
good. Filled is to chilled as robbed is to
Cold. Soft.
there we go. Sun is to rain as dry is to
Wet.
yes. How is that related?
Opposite.
Yes. Next one. Smile is to frown as straight is to
Bend.
bent. Yes. What's that relation?
Opposite.
Opposite again. And one last one. Happy is to sad as laugh is to
Soft.
that would work. There's two that would work.
Weak.
Laugh and soft would both work. Yes. All right. Let's see if each of you can make one sentence using a word here. See if you can use someone in your family's name. So tell me which word you want to use. Or I can give you a word if you want.
Wet.
Okay, go.
My brother was
Win.
wet.
Okay. Girls, you have one? Let's do, you might use that one. This one. You have one, Julie?
They surprised my mom.
We surprised my mom. Okay. More? Jenny or Leah? What about that? Rachel Van what? Okay. And one more. Let's find an easy one right here. You do that one.
My sister would work out.
There you go. Very good. All right, the next one is, let's see if we know what all of them mean. They may come from heaven to earth, or earth. Let me start over. They may come from heaven to earth. People may see them. They are
Angels.
mother sprinkled flour on the dough. Then she what the dough?
Snatch.
Rolled the dough. There we go. They are soft and warm. They may be rosy. They are soft and warm cheeks is correct. Very good. All right. Fill in the blanks where I stopped. Glad Mary. Mary was at home thinking. Jesus died. I will go back to his
Tomb.
On Sunday morning, Mary crept back to the tomb. Her
Cheeks.
cheeks were,
Wet.
who had rolled the stone away? The mighty big stone away. Who had snatched Jesus? Sad Mary shook with sobs. Then she bent down and peeked in the tomb. Angels. What a
Surprise.
two shining angels sat in the
Tomb.
tomb. The angels asked, Mary, why do you... They took Jesus away, Mary saw. I do not know where they laid him. Then Mary stepped back. She looked in. She looked up. Who had come? Tenderly someone looked down. Mary, he said. Mary fell at his feet. Jesus, yes, it was Jesus. Oh, happy morning, Jesus is alive. Alive. All is well, Jesus is alive. All right, let's read your story. Grab your books from under your... You will just read till I tell the next person to start. Remember to read with expression. Make it come alive. Chapter 13. Lesson 13. Here we go. Glad Mary. Go ahead, Julie.
Glad Mary. The yellow sun peeked over the hill, but Mary was not at home. She stood by Jesus' tomb. Her cheeks were wet. Oh, who had rolled the stone away? Who had snatched Jesus? Mary went and wept.
Okay. Jenny.
She went down.
She
Wet and wet. She went down.
percent. The. This one right there. She.
Went
There you go.
down
Got it.
and peeked into the tomb. Oh, what a surprise. Two angels sat in the tomb.
Layla.
Why do you meet the angels as they took Jesus away? Salty Mary. Then Mary stepped back. She looked up. Who had come?
Cash.
Tenderly he looked down. Mary fell at his feet.
Fix that. Go back to Mary. First Mary.
Mary fell down at his feet. Jesus, oh, he is alive. Jesus is alive.
Very good. Now, let's see if you can answer my questions here. What was Mary's biggest surprise?
That Jesus is alive.
That Jesus was alive. Probably yes. Was that more of a surprise than Jesus being missing? Which one would most likely happen? Someone go missing or come back to life from being dead?
Come back to life.
Yes.
No.
All right. What's the first? On the first page, there's something that tells us that Mary was crying. Can you find that sentence?
Mary wept and wept.
Okay. There's something else a little bit further up that gives you an idea that she's crying as well. It doesn't
Her
show you.
cheeks were wet.
Why would her cheeks be wet?
Her tears.
Yes. All right. We're not going to do any books today, so you'll know all your answers for next week when we do books. You guys are dismissed. Thank you. Good job. Now, any questions before we go on? On my methods or things that didn't make sense? If not, we'll go into teaching the teachers now. I hope I have something to teach you. While this is, while I'm getting this set up, I'm curious, how many are first grade teachers currently right now? Any first year first grade teachers? didn't know, it's a very simple title, but first thing that came to my mind in teaching first grade is an exercise in patience. It doesn't matter if you have fast students, it still takes lots of patience, just doing the same thing over and over and over again. So, your handouts, I start at phonological awareness. What is phonological awareness? Phonological awareness is the ability to notice the sound structure in spoken words. Yours may say phonological and phonemic awareness. They are very closely related. So, the root word phone comes from a Greek word meaning vocal sound. Before these three light blue ones all have to do with sounds, speaking or listening, and the darker blue is actually print that you put on paper to represent these sounds. So phonemic awareness is the ability, make sure I don't go too fast for you here. Your handouts, the ability to notice the sound structure. So knowing how words are put together, being able to take them apart, put them back together, and it includes sentences, words, compound words. The next one is phonemic awareness is the ability to identify, isolate, and manipulate language at the individual sound level. So the phonological awareness includes things like sentences, syllables, all of that. The bigger pieces. The phonemic awareness is each individual sounds at the individual sound level. So your second line in your handout is to identify, isolate, and manipulate language in the individual sound level. Before I go on here, most of these answers you'll be able to find on this piece if you have good eyesight. It's shrunk down a little bit, so it's kind of hard to read, but most of the answers will be there if you study that. So the basic skills of phonological awareness include blending and segmenting sounds, putting sounds together to make words, and then taking words apart by sound in order to spell them. The more advanced skills involve manipulating sounds, which include deleting, substituting, or reversing sounds in spoken words. The phonological awareness, once I started teaching first grade, it was something completely new for me. It might not be new for you, but the reason I focus so much on this, on the why, is I found study after study that says if students have a difficulty reading, if they don't have a solid foundation of phonological awareness, the rest of it will be futile. You won't get very far. So number two, the why of phonological awareness. Phonological awareness difficulties represent the most common source of word-level reading difficulties. So it's focuses on word level. If you can't read individual words, your reading comprehension will go nowhere. It is essential for skilled reading. And the how, I have two suggestions here where you can find it. For number one, it can be done with the lights off. It's strictly sound-based. There's no writing, no looking at any letters or anything. It's taking words apart based on sounds. Let's see. Forgot to show that. This shows a graph. The upper percentile, these will they'll get the phonological awareness just by listening to you speak. It'll come naturally. The biggest percentage will need some explicit instruction, like the first part of our class, in order to succeed. Some of our curriculum does this, but I think it's valuable to focus on it. Do a class just on phonological awareness. And for these, lower percentile, those will need lots of special interventions, and it will be impossible to progress in reading if they don't get some of this. Barton, the Orton-Gillingham methods do a lot of phonological awareness. So this breaks down how different parts of phonological awareness. You have word awareness, you take a sentence, and you'd be surprised at the first graders that when they come into school, how hard it is to take a sentence apart word for word. Some of them it's just natural, others take some practice. Once you got word awareness, you'll go to syllables. Actually, I believe our curriculum, the Haggerty, starts with compound words, taking compound words like cowboy, separating that. Once they master that, they go on to syllables. Alliteration, rhyming, onset, the beginning sounds, watching for rhyming sounds. And then the phonemic awareness is where you take individual sounds and blend, segment, take them apart, substitute, and things like that. So the two, we use Haggerty. This book is a whole year of lessons. Takes about 8 to 12 minutes each morning as a whole group. This textbook is $89, and there's no student material, so fairly cost effective. There are free online ones as well. And Haggerty, if you're not sure if you need it, they do provide an online assessment. You can print out, give them to you. Assess your students to see if it's a weak spot. So moving on to phonics, I'm trying to decide, what time am I supposed to stop here? I'll skip the video. I was maybe going to give you a video showing you how, taking you back to first grade and letting you relearn some things, but I think we'll skip that for time. So phonics, what is phonics? Phonics focuses on the relationship between letters and their sounds. So the first part, the phonological awareness, is all about sounds only, no graphics at all. Phonics is when we put letters and sounds together, matching. It moves from, once you have these memorized, takes almost half of a year. From there it moves to graphemes, syllables, and morphemes. These are big words, but I think most of us teach it. We might not know them by their name. So morpheme, once you've got all your sounds down, you move to morphemes, which is the smallest unit of meaning. The un has a special meaning, the reach is a meaning, and the able has meaning. So those are your morphemes. You start teaching what parts of words mean. You take them apart by syllables. Does everyone know how to teach syllables? How do you teach your students syllables? Do you have a special method?
Clapping.
Okay. I use the chin method. Every time your chin moves down is one syllable. So se, la, o. Almost, I think all syllables have a vowel. Every vowel will have your mouth will open for a vowel. So using the chin method is a good way to teach syllables. Graphemes or phonograms, these are symbols that represent speech sounds. It includes all of these. Like the EA makes one sound. You saw my students circling the ers, Rs, these. Anything that goes together to make an individual sound. And then your letters are just single graphemes or single letters. Does anyone know how many sounds there are, basic sounds there are in English language? guess? No guesses?
50.
Close. There's 44 different sounds in the English language, and they're all made of 26 letters. So gives you an idea why English language can be complicated. So why phonics? For most of us, phonics is probably just that's how you teach reading. But in the world out there, there's other methods called anywhere from balanced literacy. I forget what the others are right now. But some of those methods teach. If you get to a word you don't know, you just kind of get the context of the story and start guessing. Once you guess it, you just practice it till you know it. Phonics gives you the tools to tackle unfamiliar and irregular words. So, phonics gives the student the tools to tackle unfamiliar and irregular words. Phonics also is the foundation for orthographically mapping words. Got a big word in there for you. Foundation for orthographically mapping words. So when we read, we don't go sound by sound. We can look at a word. There's thousands of words in our orthographic part of our brain. We look at a word, we know what it is without even thinking about the sounds. It's orthographically mapped. This is a big subject in itself. So the pronunciation and the meaning of cat's already there. You know what it is. You know what it sounds like. But we need to teach the students that each letter or each set of letters represents a sound. So let me just read through this. Pronunciation and meaning of cat is already familiar to the child. We need to help that student pull apart the sounds in that word to identify the exact order of the individual sounds. Then, those sounds are connected to the correct symbols, letters. By examining the order of the letters and connecting to the sounds, they are beginning to map the word. With orthographic mapping, the pronunciation of a word or word part is broken down into its phoneme, sound parts, and linked to strings of letters. In other words, spelling of cat becomes bonded to the pronunciation of cat. So orthographic mapping is not something you can necessarily practice. Once you have your phonological awareness and you know your phonics, it just builds on top of that. So instant recall of letter sounds is essential for orthographically mapping words. If you can't recall these in an instant, these sound chunks, if you can't do it instantly, the orthographic mapping won't happen. Another reason we use phonics, just back to the other methods that people use for teaching, is guessing from context is not as efficient as decoding, and it's not as accurate. So that's another one of your blanks there. Guessing from context is not as efficient as decoding. When we see the word, the area of the brain responsible for orthography, the familiar spellings, and the phonology, the pronunciation, lights up before the areas responsible for the semantic system, the system for meaning. I'll read that one, it's a bit mouthful. When we see a word, the area of the brain responsible for familiar spelling and phonology, the pronunciation, that part lights up before the areas responsible for meaning. So the student's reading very slowly, they won't get the meaning, therefore they won't know what the sound or what the story's about or the text is about. So how do we do phonics? Use sound flashcards until students have near instant recall. If they can't say it within a half a second or a second, we need more flashcards. For some of my slower students, the ones that have a hard time memorizing, I went ahead and made small flashcards to match with the sounds, just for, I have one student that we've got our sight words. Our curriculum doesn't use many sight words, but he has to go A, made, the to figure out what this one is. He always has to do it. A, made, the in order to know which the third one is. If it's made, he'll go A, made, and he knows it's made. So having visual references is very helpful for students like that. Some tips on how to teach phonics. Focus more on letter sounds than the names. We spend probably 3 or 4 months talking about the letter sounds, the h, the l. We don't even tell them what the name is, the L's, H's, and T's until 3 or 4 months into the year. So focus more on sounds than names and model correct letter sounds and pronunciation. I often find myself, like, here's the letter, you should know how to do it, but if it's something brand new, we need to model it for them. These can be helpful if you have students. I always find the vowels are very hard to separate the first couple weeks. As sound like as, is sound like as. Seeing these mouth shapes helps some of my students. Be careful not to add the sound to the end of letter sounds, such as when you get to this, don't say ma. Make sure it's crisp, short m. And others like ta, sa. If you're not careful, if you're going through flashcards, they'll just go ta, sa, ma. Just make sure you teach them to leave the sounds off, no vowel sounds with your, especially with consonants. If a student has difficulty blending sounds at the beginning of the year, like ma, mi, some of them, they start with m, they'll stop, and they'll forget what the first one is before they get to the second letter. Start with letters such as M, S, F. Those can be stretched. You can hold ma, or sa. If you start trying to do it with, let's say, a k, you can't hold k. It stops. So if you do it with a stretch, it gives them started blending. Our curriculum actually uses the first 6 consonants that we use are stretchable for that reason. Moving on to fluency. Fluency, what is fluency? Fluency is the ability to read quickly, accurately, and with proper expression. So this is what we all want to have. Reading quickly, accurately, and proper expression. I found this is a good gauge to see if your students are comprehending. As if they read a sentence and they get to the end and that didn't sound right, they'll go back and fix it with proper expression. That tells you they're comprehending what they're reading. So expression is often an indicator of how much they're comprehending. Fluency is determined by the size of a student's sight word vocabulary. These orthographically mapped words. The more you have, the more fluent you'll be. Now, we call these our sight words, but all words should become sight words eventually. The reason we start with this, we just give them these so we can start reading our stories. If students are good at orthographic mapping, reading practice is helpful to increase fluency. So orthographic mapping is essential. Getting those things in your brain, knowing what it is without sounding it out, is essential for fluency. The why. Fluent readers can devote most of their attention to comprehending the text instead of wasting brain power decoding it. We want them fast enough they know what they're reading about instead of wasting all the brain power trying to decode words. As students become fluent readers, they are better able to interact with text on a higher level. The more fluent you get, the bigger, the higher level text you'll be able to interact with. How do we do fluency? Practice. practice, practice, practice. Most students must have a solid foundation in phonological awareness and phonics before fluency will improve. And the last one we'll go over real quick, just a couple comments. Vocabulary is the fourth one. The knowledge of words and word meanings. Vocabulary includes morphology. Let's go back here. Knowing vocabulary, that means knowing what the un prefix means, the able suffixes, knowing what suffixes mean is part of vocabulary. Spelling patterns. The why. Vocabulary is the glue that holds stories, ideas, and contents together, making meaning comprehension possible. And the how. In your classroom, use language that's just a bit above your first grade levels speaking. Always use new, bigger words than what they do. Read aloud to your children. Start young and read. It's one of the best things you can do for vocabulary. I stop occasionally during story time, even in reading class like this. Stop, talk about meanings of words, even if it's a word that they know. Stop and discuss words several times. And in conclusion, for maximum gains, students need systematic. Most of us have a curriculum that uses a system. Stick with that. It needs to be explicit. I like to use the I, we, you method. I show them how, we do it together, and then you do it on your own. It's often easy for us to just think, students, we know the ABCs, you know all your diagraphs and all that. Start reading, but I have some I have to tell them to look on the wall just over and over and over. So don't assume they know everything. So systematic, explicit, and engaging instruction with immediate corrected feedback. Always correct mistakes as soon as you see them. I believe it's time to go to our next classes. So if you have questions, take it to the first grade, 1st through 6th discussion group, and I'll be happy to answer your questions if you have any there. You're dismissed. I know there's some big words in here, some might be new words, but I hope you go search for. I forgot to say, most of this content comes from a course that I did, a summer course called, what is this? Let me go back here. An online course, keystoliteracy.com. So if you're interested in that course, it's $300, but it's very in-depth. Give you all the tools you need for teaching reading.
What was that again?
Keystoliteracy.com. I don't think I included it in the. It's between $300 and $400 for the course, but it gives you a lot of information. You need a textbook that's not this thick. You're dismissed.